Welcome to Vigilant News Interviews, everybody. As you can tell, we're not in our normal studio location. We are out in the field covering some epic event, and we decided that a good thing would be to have none other than the man who needs no introduction, Clay Clark, on the show. Clay, how's it going?
Guys, it's been a long time. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
It's been about 2 months. That's a long time for us.
Well, I can tell you, as far as the ReAwaken tour goes, we're going to Tulare, California, December 15th and 16th. That's California. And I just got off the phone with Eric Trump right before hopping on with you guys, and we're going to be taking our final event that's confirmed will be it'll be coming up in what did they just say? It'll be June. It'll be June, and it'll be in the Michigan area. So June in Michigan. So if you're on the left coast, California, Colorado, Wyoming, Oregon, and you want to get out to a ReAwaken tour, this will be the final West Coast event we do. That's December 15th and 16th. December 15th and 16th. You can name your price. Peter Navarro, General Flynn, Kash Patel, President Trump's attorney now, Alina Haba joining us, Roseanne, Jim Brewer, Don Jr. The whole team's there. That's December 15th and 16th. Then we're going to go to the Midwest, and that'll be in June. And then we may be merging with and or teaming up with the Trump rallies, and or we may have a final event in October. So we're getting down to the final couple events here, as many of our speakers will probably be working in the White House should Trump get elected.
Wow. So just so you know, a few little things going on, nothing big, right?
Yeah.
No, but you guys are a big part of it. You guys have really, really taken the job of being independent journalists very seriously. And you guys are getting the news out there that would not otherwise get out there. So I encourage everybody, if you're not subscribed to Vigilant News, subscribe to Vigilant News. Watch this podcast. Dial into it. These guys put in the work to do the research so you can have accurate information and understand what's going on. And again, if you want to join us on the ReAwaken tour to meet great folks like you guys, you can just go to timetofreeamerica.com to snag those tickets. We got 458 tickets left right now for the ReAwaken America Tour to Larry, California.
Excellent. Yeah, really appreciate it. We'll actually be there in Larry, California. So that'll be really fun.
I'm excited to see you guys.
Yeah, it should be great. So
we also got a little bit of housekeeping to do here.
Yeah, you want to get into it, Ryan?
So you might not be familiar. I write scripts for a streaming service called Dauntless Dialogue, and the trailer for my latest film is just dropped. It just so happens that this particular one was inspired by the 3 or 4 interviews we did with you in 2022.
Really?
You so graciously informed us about the machinations of Yuval Noah Harari, the venerable Klaus Schwab himself.
Right.
So I always show our audience the trailers when they come out, and I figured since we had you on and you had a hand in kind of directing me towards this information, what better time than now?
All right, here we go.
We have now a window of opportunity to create this global reset which we all need.
Dr. Schwab, I'm flattered you'd asked me to keynote.
And maybe most importantly at all, this was the moment when surveillance started going under the skin.
We do know that global energy systems, food systems, and supply chains will be deeply affected.
There it is.
There it is, folks.
Great job. Great job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You had a big hand to play in, like a lot of the information that we used in the film.
Well, I'll tell you this. You guys have been to my building. You've kind of seen what we're all about here, and just open invitation for you and your listeners. We've got a workshop coming up. I do business workshops every 2 months, and I've been doing that since 2005. So we're talking 19 years. I've been doing this 19 years. And so if you go to thrivetimeshow.com, it's December 7th and 8th is our business workshop. And again, we do those every 2 months. But the December event is always a lot of fun because it's kind of a reunion for a lot of my longtime business clients. And if you're out there today, folks, I'm telling you, a lot of times we're one connection away from the inspiration that we needed to get into what we're called to do. You know, a lot of times you meet somebody and you go, Holy moly, I had no idea that was an industry that you could do, or I didn't know that that was possible, or I didn't know. And I think there's a power of coming to workshops and really getting a checkup from the neck up. And so anybody out there, we have right now 4 tickets remaining for that one. That's December 7th and 8th. It's a 2-day interactive business workshop. And again, I encourage everybody, if you need a tune-up or some inspiration, coming out to one of those workshops really is a great move.
Yeah.
And that's your spot out in Tulsa?
Yeah, Tulsa, Oklahoma, December 7th and 8th. What we do is we open the doors for that at 6:30 in the morning, and then we do our first lesson is at 7 a.m., and it's a business growth workshop. And so what will happen is you'll have 200 people at the conference, and I would say 50 of them are multimillionaires that I've helped to mentor from a startup or kind of a struggling business into now what's a multi-million-dollar company. And so they come back for their annual conference, and then you have, I'd say, another half of the audience are people that are business owners from all over the country. Very few of them are from Tulsa that listen to the podcast. And then you have a different group that's kind of going, how did we get here? There's people that, a friend told them about it or something. And then what we do is the first session starts at 7 and we teach marketing and branding. And then we do a 30-minute sprinting. I call it a sprint. And then we do a 15-minute Q&A session. And then we take a 10-minute, 15-minute break. And then the next session is, let's say, marketing. And the next session is search engine optimization. The next session is sales. The next session is accounting. The next session is legal. The next session is how to hire. The next session is time management. The next session, time management is so big. And I want to give you just an example. The average American right now, according to Nielsen, has 11.3 hours per day that they are consuming media. 11.3 hours per day. So, when I run multiple companies that are doing, more than $1 million a year of revenue, people always ask me, how do you manage your day? How do you manage your calendar? How do you manage your schedule? How do you manage relationships? We have a whole section on that. And then it's, if you're listening right now and you have a team of 20 people, how do you get those people to follow the org chart and to be on the same page? And then how do you structure staff meetings? It's just everything you need to know to start and grow a successful company. And background, pre-Great Reset, pre-all this craziness we're talking about here. If you go to thrivetimeshow.com, I had interviewed, Wolfgang Puck and John Maxwell and the head of FUBU and all these, kind of celebrity entrepreneur people. And between my partner and I, we built one of the largest dog training franchises in the country. The largest auto auction in Oklahoma, the largest men's grooming lounge in Oklahoma, a bank, there's an optometry clinic. Between Dr. Zellner and I, we had built all these different successful companies. And so people would always ask us, well, how did you guys do it? And so at a certain point, I thought I should probably just say yes to speaking events. And the problem was, Ryan and Justin, when you go to speaking events, they give you an hour, 30 minutes to speak. And I'm trying to machine gun marketing, branding, sales, workflow, hiring, firing, and people would leave going, man, you needed a day. That was wild. And so I told my wife, I said, what, I'm not going to travel anymore doing speaking events. I'm just going to build my own facility and people can come to our place. And we're going to be very generous with our time. We're going to serve food both days. We're going to have an all-out Christmas party. We're going to do helicopter rides. We're going to do a pig roast. We're going to do fire pits. We're going to do giveaways. In school, I always was bored by school. But in our conferences, if you actually answer a question, you actually get cash prizes for participating. You get a chance to win flat screen TVs and cash prizes. And then we invite you to our Christmas party. And it really have a full band. It really is like a next level business education and edutainment kind of an environment. And then there's no upselling. So at the end of the conference, I'm not like, wow, folks, if you want to sign up for my magic money system, there's none of that. I'm very transparent. I only take on 160 clients. I charge people $1,700 a month and I make a small percentage of the growth. And that's how I've done it for a long, long time. And so if you're out there today and you're going, man, my business needs a checkup, that's a great way to do it. And you're going to meet great people. People like you are in the audience, and it really is a powerful tool. So I just encourage people, if you can get out there to Tulsa, Oklahoma, December 7th and 8th, I promise you it will be the most life-changing business workshop you've ever seen.
It really is. We had the pleasure of going to the Tip of the Spear event you did.
Oh, yeah.
General, learned so much. You got us hooked up with Google Calendars, which has been a game changer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What's crazy about that is I had no plan to host a business Tip of the Spear podcast workshop. I never had a thought. I've written a book about how to podcast, but I've never thought about doing a conference. And General Flynn actually said, he said, Clay, myself, Mike Lindell, we think you should do a business workshop and teach the podcasters what you know. And I go, okay. And I thought that the connections and relationships there were powerful. And if you look at who is still in the game right now, like who's still the independent journalist, including you guys, most of them were at that event. I mean, it was a really powerful connection. So I'm so hats off to General Flynn for suggesting we do it.
Yeah, 100%. It's a really important thing, and I think it's something that in the modern age we've kind of written off our incredible power to create and have business and relate with each other. And when you get to go to one of these events and you see the creative energy flowing and people getting organized, getting stuff done, it's really powerful. We won't be able to make it to the December one, but I'm definitely going to try to make it to the 1 in 2 months, because there's a lot of good stuff I'm working on that I think will be really awesome. So
Got a little bit of
well, you guys are. That's probably just the size of my head. Probably just the size of my cranium.
Right on. Okay, so you've got this event coming up in December. Clearly, lots of stuff happening. What do you think is the biggest pressing issue that we focus on right now?
Well, I've got a sound bank right behind the screen that I'm looking at you guys on. So what I'm going to do just for a second is I'm going to arrange a couple things here so that I can play some clips that I believe are absolutely important information here. So, folks, I'm not playing Tetris. I'm not playing backgammon. I'm not distracted. I'm not sorting through email right now. What I'm doing is I'm getting these clips ready so people can hear these. Okay. So the first clip, I'm going to start with the worst news and then get hopefully better from there. Yuval Noah Harari. This is the guy praised by Obama, Zuckerberg, Gates, MIT, Stanford, Harvard. But in the documentary you showed there, the trailer, you featured Yuval Noah Harari. But for people that don't know this, in the Bible, Revelation chapter 16, verse 12 through 14, the Bible says that when the Euphrates River dries up, everyone should look at, you got to look it up, folks. Revelation chapter 16, verse 12 through 14, it states that when the Euphrates River dries up, that's when the false prophet will show up, and that's when China and Russia will team up. And guess when Yuval Noah Harari showed up? He showed up when the Euphrates River dried up. Now, someone says, well, what was he working on? Well, he was working on this project called the Gilgamesh Project when Barack Obama found him. Listen to what he said here, folks. This will blow your mind. Here we go.
The really big revolution, which is coming very quickly, will be when the AI revolution, machine learning and all that, the infotech revolution, meets and merges with the biotech revolution and goes under the skin.
The microchip actually in his hand. The tiny implant is the latest advance in a biohacking technology.
It serves as his keys, his ID, and his wallet.
Well, biometric sensors or even external devices, now we are developing the ability, for example, to know the blood pressure of individuals just by looking at them. You don't need to put a sensor on a person. Just by looking at the face, you can tell what is the blood pressure of that individual. And by analyzing tiny movements in the eyes, in the mouth, you can tell all kinds of things from the current mood of the person.
He's talking about putting AI under the skin.
No, thank you.
AI under the skin. I don't hear an echo, by the way. I'm sorry if you guys hear an echo, but I can... Oh. One, I can mute myself, which will improve the quality of the show.
No, it's not you. It's
yeah. We're good. Go ahead.
Okay, so he's talking about this out loud, and for people out there that don't know this, this could be a shocker. But he's saying it out loud. Now you start to say, well, what else does the Bible have to say about what's going on? Because I think a lot of people are attending churches where you have a big church, where most people bring a small font Bible into your big church. And you really don't know what the Bible says about current events because the pastor won't talk about it. It's a weird thing. It's like it'd be like if you're a basketball coach and you refuse to talk about basketball. It'd be like if you were a swim coach and you refused to be near water. It would be like being an actor who refuses to watch movies or to make movies. It would be like being a dog trainer who doesn't interact with dogs and believes only in cat ownership. It would be like being a member of the military who refuses to wear a uniform or to hold a weapon. I mean, I can go on and on these examples. It's just a weird detachment. But this is, I'm going to fire off some biblical signs we need to know. Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 5 through 6 tells us that when Iran, Ethiopia, Libya, it tells us in the Bible, this is not my opinion, okay? This is Ezekiel chapter 38. It says that in the future, Turkey, Libya, Ethiopia, and Iran, they're all going to team up against Israel at the same time. And so biblical Persia, which is Iran, biblical Ethiopia, which is Ethiopia, biblical Libya, which is Libya, and biblical Gomer, which is Turkey. They're all going to team up against Israel. And that's happening. And you might say, well, Really? Yeah, you should read it. And then Matthew chapter 24, it says it'll be like as in the days of Noah before the return of Christ. Matthew chapter 24, verse 37. Well, if anybody out there who doesn't know, the word Hamas means perpetual violence and wickedness in Hebrew. Perpetual violence and wickedness. And so guess what was happening before the flood? Perpetual violence and wickedness. And guess what's happening now? Hamas is everywhere, blending of the borders. They're going everywhere. Now someone says, I don't like that fact. We continue. Luke chapter 17, verse 28 through 30. Luke chapter 17, verse 28 through 30. The Bible says it'll be like as in the days of Lot before the return of Christ. That's like Sodom and Gomorrah. So you start to say, oh, wow. Well, what does the Bible say about Gaza? That's Amos chapter 1, verse 7. Amos chapter 1, verse 7, and Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 4. It says that Gaza will be completely destroyed before the return of Christ. And someone says, well, that sounds mean. It's in the Bible. Zephaniah chapter 2, verse 4, it tells you. I mean, I'd encourage you to read the whole thing. I'm just giving you the verses so you can look it up here. Isaiah chapter 17 discusses the idea that Damascus will be completely destroyed. Isaiah chapter 17, 1. Damascus will be completely destroyed before the return of Christ. Now, what's happening? In June of this past year, China flew out the head of Palestine to China, and China's now financially and militarily supporting Palestine. And the weapons are making their way into where? Damascus, Syria. That's why Damascus, Syria has been bombed recently. So I'm just telling you, these things are all happening. And you say, back to Yuval Noah Harari. Do you know in Hebrew, folks, this guy Yuval Noah Harari, his name means, his name in Hebrew, the name Yuval means father of music. So his name, Yuval, means father of music, Noah, like as in the days of Noah, and Harari means shall ascend to the mountaintop. So his name as a sentence means, in Hebrew, the father of music, as in the days of Noah, shall ascend to the mountaintop. And he's hanging out with who? Emmanuel Macron. And Emmanuel Macron, his name means God with us and the mark. That's the leader of France. God with us and the mark is his name. So, I mean, these guys are teaming up together, and if you can't see the biblical connections, it's probably because I'm a bad teacher. So Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. It tells us that the false prophet will want to change the times and the laws. And if you haven't been to his website, folks, go to ynharari.com. ynharari.com. Listen to what he look what he wrote on the website. He says, history began when humans invented gods and will end when humans become gods.
Wow.
That's on the website. So, I mean, if you're out there going, well, does the Bible talk about inflation? Yeah. Revelation chapter 6, verse 5 through 6. The Bible prophesied there would be hyperinflation before the return of Christ. Revelation chapter 6, verse 5 through 6. Revelation chapter 13, verse 16 through 18, prophesied what's called the quantum dot, or the mark of the beast. If you look it up, folks, MIT, the quantum dot, it stores your medical and financial records under your skin. That's called the MIT quantum dot. MIT also developed the CBDCs, you know, the new central bank digital currency system they're developing. It was also funded by Jeffrey Epstein and Gates. MIT was funded by Jeffrey Epstein and Gates. You know, Bill Gates has a satanic spiritual advisor by the name of Marina Abramovich. Yeah, Bill Gates has a satanic spiritual advisor by the name of Marina Abramovich. She's also an advisor to Ukraine.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Epstein, the world's most prolific pedophile who put a temple on his island to pray to Satan. He supports MIT. And the final knowledge bomb I'll give to this is just an example of the kind of incredible stuff the Bible has in there if you just read it, folks. Revelation chapter 9:11 and Revelation 2:13. The Bible tells us specifically in Revelation 9:11 and Revelation 2:13 that Satan lives in Geneva.
Ain't that right?
Revelation 9:11 and Revelation 2:13, and you go, come on. Yeah, that's why the Bible tells you, it says that Satan lives where Antipas was martyred and where the former temple of Apollo was, which happens to be Geneva. That's why CERN's located in Geneva. That's why the World Economic Forum is located in Geneva. That's why the United Nations is located in Geneva. That's why Gavi's located in Geneva. That's why the World Health Organization is located in Geneva. That's why Yuval Noah Harari speaks in Geneva. That's why Klaus Schwab speaks in Geneva. That is because Satan dwells there. And now the Earth is covered with 30,000 low-orbit satellites that emit 5G. 5 is penta, G is gram. The Earth now is surrounded with 30,000 low-orbit satellites that were put there by the what? The Dragon rockets. Yes, Elon Musk's Dragon rockets put the 30,000 low-orbit satellites there that cover the Earth, that blanket the Earth, and the 30,000 low-orbit satellites that emit 5G. 5 is penta, G is gram. And that connects with the RNA-modifying nanotechnology under your skin, which is what Yuval Noah Harari was talking about when we first got started. And Charles Lieber patented this technology. And someone's going, a lot of information. What do I do? Just go to timetofreeamerica.com/revelation. Everything I've just shared with you is all cited right there. Timetofreeamerica.com/revelation. And it's all right there. And again, guys, if it wasn't for a courageous show like yours, most people would have no idea this is happening because pastors won't talk about what's going on. Just like a football coach who doesn't talk about football, it's bizarre.
Well, fortunately, it's all in this book here. So,
yeah,
exactly.
You gotta get yourself a copy.
Right.
Isn't that wild, though? I mean, Justin, what are your thoughts on the idea that pastors won't talk about these events in 9 out of 10 churches, maybe 90% of churches, 99% of churches?
Well, I've had a chance to talk to a few pastors about some of this stuff, and a good chunk of them just are ignorant. They just don't know. They got their nose to the grindstone, do whatever they're doing, and they're not aware. There's a group of them out there, though, that I don't talk to too often, who I think are intentionally not talking about these things because either they're a part of it or they've lost the plot, so to speak. What do you think?
Well, I've met a lot of pastors. I want to celebrate some good ones. Pastor Brian Gibson with his church does a great job. Rodney Howard Brown does a great job. Pastor Phil and Bernadette, Pastor Philip and Bernadette Smith in Michigan, Pastor Tammy and Phil Hotson-Pillar in California. I can go on listing these great pastors. And but their focus is teaching people the gospel. That's their focus. That's why they teach. That's why they preach. But there's a lot of pastors that do formula church. I want to walk people through how formula church works, okay? So do you guys know, did your listeners know, rhetorically I'm asking the question, do people out there know who Jonathan Cahn is? Jonathan Cahn, he's on Glenn Beck. He's a biblical scholar. He knows history, he knows the Bible, and he knows geography in a way that really ties it all together. And Jonathan Cahn is, if you look him up, it's C-A-H-N. He's one of the top selling Christian authors of all time. And I have access to him through the ReAwaken tour and different things. And a friend of mine has a big church, right? And I said to my friend with the big church, friend with the big church, would you like to have Pastor Jonathan Cahn come speak at your church? And my friend with the big church says, yes, let's do it. Now, let me just say how crazy that is and how uncommon that is. Most churches today do formula church, program church. So what they'll do is they'll say, on the week of November the 21st, we will talk about Thanksgiving. And on the week of December, we will transition into Christmas. And on January, we'll talk about the new year and a new you. February, we're going to talk about, and you go, do your friends talk like that? No, but let's just continue with the character. February, we're going to talk about Valentine's Day. March, we're talking about spring, spruce up your marriage. April, we talk about April showers, bring love, flowers for your family. You go, what? May, we talk about, and they have a formula for the year. And every year, it's the same year.
Yeah,
and
we
the
have
pastor gets the sermon notes from, the sermon notes emporium, because all pastors go to seminary, and then the seminary disseminates all the same information. So they end up having a formula. And if you were to ask them, could you have Jonathan Cahn speak about the RNA modifying nanotechnology that goes into the skin? They'll go, I can't do it this year because my vacation is scheduled in July during the week of the 4th, which is traditionally our slowest time of the year. So maybe July of 2024, we could probably have him come in then. But I need to run it by my board, and it's just ridiculous. It's a bureaucracy behind the pulpit. And so I encourage everybody out there today, if you want to know what is actually going on, my final thoughts would be this. 1, go to timetofreeamerica.com, get those tickets for the ReAwaken America Tour to Larry, California, December 15th and 16th. We have just under 500 tickets. That's December 15th and 16th, timetofreeamerica.com. 2, watch the ReAwaken America Tour documentary for free tonight. You have Thanksgiving coming up. Watch it during Thanksgiving with the family. Watch it with the family. Watch the ReAwaken America Tour documentary for free with the family. You got Mike Lindell in there. You have General Flynn. You have Pastor Archer Pulowski, and they just lay it out. They let this documentary came out 2 years ago. I hired the same team that shot President Trump's documentary to shoot it, and these guys put together a world-class documentary, and it's free. And I tell you to watch it because General Flynn tells you, if we don't stop the Great Reset, A, B, and C is going to happen. And it's all happening. And so I encourage you guys to watch that so you'll be inspired to do what's required. And that's timetofreeamerica.com. And then the third thing is get in the Bible. I referenced all these Bible verses not to impress anybody or not to try to put on some sort of laser show of biblical knowledge. I'm doing this because I think everybody out there needs to understand the times we live in. And if you want to know more about what's going on, I'm going to fire off a couple other verses for you. Mark chapter 13. Mark chapter 13, Matthew chapter 24, and Luke chapter 21. Mark chapter 13, Matthew chapter 24, and Luke chapter 21. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to send you guys, I have 41 biblical prophecies. People don't know this, but 27% of the Bible is prophetic, and only 73% of the Bible is historical. So 27% of the Bible is prophetic, meaning it'll tell you what's going to happen in the future. And so I'm going to go ahead and send you guys right now an email with all of the 41 of those citations, and that way your listeners can dive into those if they want to.
Excellent.
All right.
Lots of good information in there. Yeah, definitely check it out, everybody. Clay, you're a force. You're doing great things with all the stuff. I really appreciate all the time. And clearly, there's a lot of times that we need to be focusing on what really matters: spiritual connection, loving each other, being good to each other, that kind of stuff.
Amen to that. And again, I appreciate you guys carving out time and working with my crazy schedule. You guys are the best, and I can't wait to see you again.